Okay.
So, good morning, good day, good evening. Depends from where you are watching our education seminars, IAMPE. Today we have an interesting speaker from Peru. I want to introduce Professor Freddy Ortiz Nishihara. He is the member of APDI Conciliator Center, honorable lawyer, trainer, or Mass Center Director, APDI, conciliator, mediator, speaker, writer, author of several books of law, and arbitrator. He's a promoter of the justice and the culture of peace in this APDI Conciliation and Arbitration Center. I think you have more credentials, more places to share about and present yourself much better, dear Freddy. I'm giving you a floor. Please share your expertise with our guests worldwide. As I understood, you can present in Spanish language, either Japanese if you want, or English. Thank you for joining today.
Really, thank you very much. By this invitation is very good for me to share this knowledge and my expertise, my experience of life through this channel. And being member of IAMPE is very nice because I can share many things and defend the real peace and to defend human rights without borders. I congratulate you, really, my dear friend Christine, because you are our leader and you are trying to improve all the systems of conflict resolution in this war through many languages and trying to understand many cultures and many points of view. It's very good job that you are doing, and for me, it's a pleasure to stay here in this group, participating and trying to give something of me because everybody passes by this way, but most to give something to the world too. It's very important to give some here for the other, for the new generations which come behind behind ourselves. Well, I will say that I'm going to make a mixing of languages because I always try to understand all the people around the world speaking in many languages. In Japanese, the native language of my ancestors so long ago, and then in English and in Spanish, my native language when I was born here in Peru, and in Portuguese too, because I worked with many Japanese, with many descendants of Japanese which worked from Brazil in Japan a long time ago. And I remember I used to the Incas language, the Incas Empire language, Quichua, which many say that it's not important, but I believe which is very important because it was the language of one empire a long time ago. And today is October 12th, a very important date in the history. Many call it before here in this country the Indians Day, in a way which not was correct. This is not the Indians Day, I suppose, which is the day of the native people of America.
Indigenous people.
Yes, indigenous people, but not in a despective way, because they are human beings and a very important culture here. And I call this day to the day of the encounters, the day of the meeting between two worlds, one ancient world and a new world. But the two worlds have values, and the two worlds have many special things for all the peoples around the world. And in that way, we must try to look at this new kind of meeting, because both sides in this relation started a new kind of try to get better knowledge of themselves and to get a better rich culture for humanity without borders. And by that, I congratulate to all the native peoples here in Latin America by this special day, not the Columbus Day, no. It's a day of the meetings, encounters between two parts of the world. By that, in this day of the educational seminars, October 12th, I want to start making that reflection about this day. And the subject that I'm going to speak today, el tema sobre el cual voy a hablar, excuse me if I speak in Spanish too, el tema sobre el cual voy a hablar es el sistema de gobierno, la cultura de paz y los conflictos. System of government, culture of peace and conflicts. Now, in these days, we need to remember what these concepts mean for the humanity, for all the human being, because sometimes when I see the news, when I watch TV programs, I don't understand what it did happen with the progress, with the development that a human being should have make, because we must watch more ahead than the economics, the simply economics. We must to watch education. We must to try to discover more humanity inside the persons. And by that, I suppose that we need to go ahead for to improve this world. I'm going to continue sharing. Yes. Well, something of my studies here, and I want to say in Japanese some words. 私は本当に皆さん、日本でどうもありがとうございました。僕の日本人家族まだいますから、日本でいればね、心からよろしくお願いいたします。私は時々悲しいですけど、戦争のことに、でも私帰りたい。そのことを考える時々、それはいい気持ちですね。僕は人間、多分日本語をよく話しません、今が。それはもっと前に私はよくペラペラでした日本語で、でも今は少しだけ話します。練習しませんから、どうもすみません。どうもごめんなさい。どうもすみません。私は日本語でよく話しますけど、でも僕の心は日本人です。まだ覚えます。そのいい気持ち。皆さん頑張る。よろしくお願いいたします。日本は綺麗国。いつも僕の心の中に日本いますから。Really, it's a nice feelings to feel that I have something of Japanese inside my heart, because the times were very difficult for us, for or my family here in this country called Peru. There were many conflicts since Second World War and sufferings too, but we continue on the way, on the path, because we must to show our power, or spirit power, or mind power, for to continue doing our best. I know that the war sometimes is very not understandable. There are many kind of persons here. Hay muchas clases de personas en este mundo. Uno no las entiende, no sabe cuáles son sus motivaciones pero como descendiente japonés digo que seguiré hasta el final, honestamente, trabajando por el bien común, haciendo lo mejor que pueda y desarrollando valores, porque eso es lo que necesitamos hacer. As a descendant of Japanese, I promise that I'm going to continue fighting by values, by the real peace, and trying to show and to share the best of me with others, compartir lo mejor de mí, a pesar de las dificultades, a pesar de los tiempos difíciles. Kanashi toki deshita, honto ni とても悲しい時でした。難しいでした。私たちに。でも頑張ります。Bueno, sí, excuse me. If I don't use well these tools, I'm 61 years old. Well, I was thinking about this. A good system of government, this thinking is of mine. A good system of government promotes a culture of peace and seeks to prevent conflict through actions, not only beautiful words. Because if we think of beautiful words, we have many in Latin America. And we'll say in Spanish this too, and we'll say that un buen sistema de gobierno impulsa la cultura de la paz, procura evitar los conflictos con hechos y no con palabras muy bonitas. Lamentablemente, lo que hemos visto en Latinoamérica y particularmente en el Perú es que hablamos muy bonito, damos discursos muy hermosos, pero al momento de actuar yo no entiendo y quizá por eso se me persiga y se me maltrate durante 25 años profesionalmente. Yo siempre he tratado de ser consecuente entre mis palabras y mis hechos. Nunca he traicionado y he sido honesto. Y si por eso debo merecer un castigo, por no acomodarme a los moldes, no digo culturales, sé cómo denominar estas formas culturales de algunos gobernantes, de algunos grupos de poder, porque ni siquiera política se puede definir lo que está pasando en el Perú con 8 gobiernos o 10 gobiernos en menos de 10 o 15 años o 20 años, lo cual es terrible, una situación pero muy terrible. Entonces, with pretty words, we can't do nothing. We must to practice. We must to put in practice all we think, all our feelings, because the words don't mean nothing only by themselves. Las palabras no significan nada por sí mismas y hay que tratar de educar al pueblo a ser consecuente. We must to try to educate the persons for to practice, not only for to speak. Everybody can speak very nice, preaches, everybody want preach very nice. But if you want to do the things correctly, you must to act, you must to put your words in action daily, every day, todos los días. Pero lamentablemente, unfortunately, history shows that corruption and unjust governments rely on structural violence and the creation of conflicts with their own people. That is a real that I have learned, I have understood in this new world called Peru. I'm so sorry to speak about this. I wouldn't like to speak about this, but if you want to change this system of government and try to make a new world, we must to see the roots of the trouble, the roots of this conflict. Unfortunately, the history shows that the violence was born since up, not since down. There are no terrorists, crazy terrorists here down, which only want to attack others. Not. We must to watch the violence since the structure of the society, the structural violence, which was creation of those which have the power, of those which master the educative systems, which master the college, politically systems, but it's not something which appear freely. No es nada gratuito que podamos decir que la violencia apareció y que esto depende de la gente. No, hay una creación aquí, hay responsabilidades. Creo que aquellos que debieron actuar correctamente, tratando de ser buenas personas, tratando de utilizar el poder político en beneficio de las mayorías, no lo hicieron. Y no tengo miedo ya de recibir ningún castigo más. Ya creo que me han castigado muchos años con la persecución laboral, con los atentados contra mi vida cuando escribí en varios periódicos. As I told someday, I wrote many articles before many newspapers. I spoke in relation to this matter. I denounced you have punished too much. The governments have punished during more than 30 years for to say only that everybody should be honest for to try to improve this country, for to try to improve the world. But the answer is violence, and I don't know what to do. They have punished me too without employ. They have punished me without employ during more than 30 years. Well, we have in charge of the main ministries, offices, and enterprises, businesses to people which buys, who buys fails and fake the titles of doctors, of masters, and what do they do when they get to the posts of government, when they are nominated as ministers, are as bosses, as managers of many institutions here in Peru, with fails and fake titles. What? They can do nothing, es la verdad. Llegan a altos cargos públicos y por eso nuestro país está arruinado, porque han comprado los títulos. Y últimamente me robaron toda mi cuenta de LinkedIn y he visto que han puesto a revender en LinkedIn todos mis títulos, mis carreras, mis diplomas para otros que no tienen cerebro. Somebody which don't want brain or something that I don't understand why don't try to improve, try why don't try to be better persons, why don't go and study a little more for to get your papers, your documents. Bueno, la historia, the history of Perú prueba que los gobiernos corruptos e injustos se basan en la violencia estructural, la generación de conflicto con el pueblo, con los profesionales que somos limpios, que no compramos títulos, que no compramos tesis en empresas o lugares donde se falsifican. Vamos a tener un mal gobierno si continuamos con gente que vende y compra títulos para ocupar altos puestos, que se selecciona en función al dedo. Tú vas a hacer, tú vas a hacer, tú vas a hacer. Eso no puede ser. La verdad que eso no deseamos, no queremos. Y bueno, habría que ver esto. La situación es terrible. Tenemos un mal gobierno because there is corruption, because everybody thinks about the family, about the friends, and violates human rights. They say all for my friends and relatives, the law for my enemies. That was saying many years ago, 50 years ago, here in Peru by a minister, and we are using still this concept, all for my friends and relatives, the law for my enemies. By that, we have this problem because we don't have honest and persons which can solve the troubles, which don't have the abilities, the capacity for to try to think well, to act honestly. That is the reason in Peru and Latin America. We need honesty. We need persons que piensen, who think about the well-being of everybody, like the Constitution says, como la Constitución peruana dice, el bien común, the well-being of everybody. But they don't think in the well-being of everybody. They think in the well-being of their families, their relatives, and their friends only. The others are not part of the country. In this way, we are driving a country, I think, which is not correct. Don't respect the human rights of those who can express or want to express the truth, want to use the freedom of expression for to write and for to speak, because immediately we have a repression system. We punishes you with violence, but this violence is not physical, it's psychological, because they don't let you anymore to get in to posts or jobs in the administration. They, they have market for your life. When you go to the ministers, when you try to find job in any place, they say, no, this this guy not, is dangerous. He can enter here because he thinks in all the population. And we don't think in all the population. We think in our people, in relatives and friends only. And this guy is preaching about to include all the population. That is not right for our system, they say. By that, they don't respect equal opportunity for everybody. No respetan la igualdad de oportunidades para todo el mundo. En los empleos, in the employments, don't respect equal opportunities employments and every place where you could go. By that, the system of government is weak because with persons which don't have the capacity for to put in practice of the policies of a good government, we can solve the troubles of the nation. No podemos resolver el problema del gobierno con personas que se han formado mal, que han comprado títulos hasta ahora y por eso siguen cayendo y cayendo por debilidad los gobiernos en el Perú. Y no es que yo lo diga, y también quizás en gran parte de Latinoamérica. Hay un dicho en Perú, el que no tiene padrino no se puede bautizar. In English, we would say, if you don't have a godfather, you can you can have nothing. You must to get a godfather for to get the things. That is real. That's real. And I suppose if we want to change, if we really want to change this system and we really want to develop this country, we should change the educative basis of this system, which is not correct. A good government, un buen gobierno, is based in justice. Justice is the first level for a good government. Values, good values, then the real peace will born. But if we don't have justice, if we don't practice values, we are not going to have a real peace. If we don't have a real peace as the root of everything here, we are not going to have a very good government, because without justice, without equality of opportunities for everybody here in this country, as in my case, I have studied around the world. I have more than 3 titles. I speak Portuguese, Spanish, English, Japanese, and look at me, where is myself without job? Punished only because I told the truth and most to leave maybe from this country because I consider myself as a prisoner, not political prisoner, academic prisoner of my ideas. I must to leave. But that, un buen gobierno, les digo en español, se basa en la justicia, en los valores. Sin justicia y sin valores, eligiendo a mis amigos para los puestos públicos, no podemos tener paz verdadera. No podemos hacer el desarrollo con gente inepta que solamente tiene amigos y se basa en los amigos para poder lograr sus objetivos. Tenemos que basarnos en profesionales capaces, con honestidad, que tengan valores, que no piensen solamente en los amigos o en los familiares, porque de lo contrario vamos a tener un mal gobierno. We are going to have a bad government, which is like a volcano, which is going to have crisis and more crisis and more crisis because there is no justice, there is injustice, and there are no values. And there, that means that it doesn't exist a real peace. This is a false peace, a piece of cemeteries, a piece of cemeteries, a piece which you can preach but can't practice in any place. Una paz que predicas pero que no puedes poner en práctica porque es la paz de los cementerios. Eso no se debe ver. Y lamentablemente tenemos que mostrar que el liderazgo, we must show that the governments and the leadership are very related to the progress. If we see the real man which is the beloved, which shows signs of humanity, we must respect the human being. We must respect the environment. We must use the leadership for to try to practice empathy with our societies, with the other, but we don't have empathy. We try to use the others for our own interests only. We don't promote an educative system which will be useful for everybody. Create persons which can really think by themselves, who can create to think the soul, who can create the soul, who can be creative persons, because in the societies of Latin America, we want only to make copies of bad models, of bad persons without good leadership. That is what is happening since the called independence fails independence 200 years or more than 200 years here in Peru. We are independent people, independent country, but that is not real. Decimos que somos independientes, que hemos dado derechos, pero en realidad no estamos desarrollando seres humanos integrales con liderazgo verdadero, con empatía hacia el prójimo, luchando por el bien común. No promovemos sistemas educativos para el bienestar de la mayoría. No impulsamos seres pensantes, seres creativos que desarrollen la inteligencia por sí mismos. Y no persuadimos, buscamos imponer al otro, y eso no es justo. Justo. If we see to the other side the beast with, we can see, excuse me if I use this image, but you can see that this kind of image don't speak, don't know about the human rights, or if he knows about human rights, don't put in practice the respect or freedoms for the use of the human rights, and don't respect the environment. Actúa y se basa en la demagogia. Y a veces tenemos que la demagogia, as I said before, is only to speak pretty for the persons when you are in a campaign, political campaign, and after that you forget about that. Después de la campaña presidencial, when the president has been chosen, you forget about to preach and to practice democracy. We see psychopathy. It's so sad to speak about this term psychopathy, but we can see this. Vemos que se basa en la psicopatía de muchos que ven sus propios intereses. And when you see that the other is not with you, you use the violence. Cuando ves que el otro no está contigo, lo reprimes, violando sus derechos, golpeándolo físicamente y psicológicamente, torturándolo. Y no promueves una sociedad con un pensamiento abierto, sino buscas seres que repitan todo lo que tú dices, seres que repitan mecánicamente lo que tú dices. Y no buscamos seres que repitan, buscamos seres que creen inteligencia, que desarrollen nuevos conceptos. But it's forbidden here in Peru and Latin America, and in Latin America, I believe, to try to create your own thoughts, your own point of view, because the others will use the force in relation to you, psychologically or physically, and you won't have no place in this society. Before, they used most the physical abuse, the death, the torture, physical torture, but now they use, in many cases, the psychological torture. They, they don't give employment during almost 25 years. They create false information on relation to you. They blockade your links, your professional links, create a false image in relation to you, and nobody hires you. And they say to all entities, private and public, this guy is not with the system. This guy is a danger for the system. Este tipo es un problema para el sistema. No lo contraten, reténganlo, no lo dejen ingresar, porque habla de valores, habla de honestidad, habla de capacidad propia, de libertad de pensamiento. No lo dejen ingresar a ninguna parte. Persíganlo. And that is the reason in many cases. Bueno, sigamos.
Freddy,
Sí, sí,
yes, we have questions. I know we have 10 minutes
sí,
to
please.
for your you will when you will finish your presentation. But now we have one question exactly. How do you think the students asking you? How do you think um, new generation doesn't matter if they are in Peru or around of globe? How do you think, Mr. Like he says, Professor? How do you think if we as a young generation possibly can change a system?
Yes, I understand that if we want to change this situation, we must to go to the roots. It's very difficult to try to change a society without, excuse me if I pronounce this word, but no, means always violence. We need revolution, a peacefully revolution, a peacefully revolution for to try to change the mind systems, the educative systems, but we are going to have a resistance, a very hard resistance, because the persons which have won this kind of system of domination don't, well, they are going to don't permit, and they are going to leave us to try to change this system in a very easy way with real democracy, because as I said before, they manage and they control all the systems here, and it's very dangerous sometimes, I think, because during almost 40 years of my life, I always defended human rights and wrote articles defending real peace and trying to create a new environment for the development of a real man with empathy, with human values. But the answer was to punish me without putting me as a person with our job and punishing me with our job And by those reasons, I don't know how I'm surviving by a miracle because I try to use my intelligence for to try to find ways for to survive until now. I'm not finished. But they are very surprised it's about me because they say, how this guy can survive? But they don't know which I survive. I have
You
been professor.
survive because you educate. You survive
Yes.
because you are strong and you educate. You concentrate your mind on education. Please, you can finish your presentation, and after I have one last question for you.
Yes, yo quiero acabar mi presentación agradeciendo que realmente it's very important for me to be in your program, to be in this educative program. Excuse me, sometimes I don't understand well the English because I don't have practice listening frequently English, I suppose, which I speak better than I can understand some questions. But well, that is a question of the system. But I thank you very much, Matis. Quiero agradecer en español porque me da la oportunidad de impulsar los cambios en esta sociedad basados en el desarrollo humano integral de todos los segmentos, tratando de preservar el medio ambiente, no destruir el medio ambiente, no crear líderes que se acostumbren a recibir sobornos para actuar solo para su beneficio personal y sobre todo no entregar los recursos nacionales a empresas transnacionales porque la verdadera paz está en el respeto al derecho de las mayorías. The real peace means to respect with empathy the well-being of all the members of our societies in Latin America. That is all I want to say finally. And thank you very much, my friend Christine, my dear Christine.
Uh,
Domus fuimos
well, you are welcome. You're always the dear guest for any education our projects, and as IAMPE member, honorary member. The last question, I think, and we can close our today education seminar for October. It's the last question, and maybe it's not the question. I want to constate you something. You tell me, in order to change the system, we need revolution. And this is not from my perspective, because I witnessed it two revolution in our countries. And I will say to you, not all revolution are panacea, and they can heal or they can change the government, society, the direction, because sometimes coming something worse, because you believe that it's come some superhero and he will change everything, but it's not happens. And from all my research, doctorate research now, I investigate a lot by migrating from one country to another and learning how the people really think about their the life being. The revolution is not the helper. You know what we have to do? We have to do education revolution. We need to educate and bring to the table, bring in this life new generation with different vision. Because this government, they will not live forever. We are human beings, okay? The average for the human to live maximum 85 years. So nobody is living forever. So we need to concentrate our mind on education. And you are now surviving to tell how I can survive, how I am in this. But you, because you are a professor, you concentrated now your mind in education. That's why you are strong. If we all concentrate about the system, which is impossible to change, this is 1000%. You can't change system. It's impossible to change. Doesn't matter where. Peru, it will be Australia or some another country. You can't change system.
I agree with you.
Yes, but the direction can be changed. Not all system, the direction. And we have to grow a new generation of the government.
Yes, that is nice because we need that kind of healing first and try to prevent violence. And educative system is the way, the better way for to try to change. Just once, about 30 years or more, 40 years ago, there was a president, Juan Velasco Alvarado, who made a famous revolution, educative system. He called it that the reform of education to create the new man, which must be a solidarity man, which must be most human man, and he must to try empathic with others. But in 6 years, there was a cap against him, and he was changed by the Americans because he was dangerous for them. And I don't know what to say if we try to continue. Well, I will continue in the meantime until I can, because I have to my limits for to try doing that I'm doing more than 30 years ago. But I will try continuing with the peace, the peaceful ways for to try to change this society. That is very important for me. But as you can see, in this country, all who has power punishes to all who tries to make a change peacefully and overthrows him or try to disappear him. But anyway, I didn't lose the hope how to try to change these systems since inside. It's very important, and the most important way is to try to change these societies since the root, trying to educate to the new generations for to practice empathy and to try to well-being for our society and to defend our own to resources, natural resources, and to defend environment. That's very important. I co- I agree with you in that way. I only said the word revolution because I try to say that we need a change. We need a change in any way, because if we don't have a change, this society is not going to improve the actual system.
Change always starts within you. The first, what you have to do, you have to change your vision to and your reflection or negative situation. Every change what we want to see from other side, we have to start from ourselves. So start from yourself, concentrate your mind on education, where you are doing great job as a professor, educate new generation, because I not only hope, I believe that 1000% this new generation will rule all countries. The new generation, because we are not, as I mentioned it before, we are not forever. We are the guest on this planet, and sooner or later we will leave. But how you will live is matter. How you will live and what legacy you believe after yourself. So concentrate your mind not to change some system which is broke, not broke. Is I know this is it's maybe pain, and not only for you, because a lot of people struggling in the conflict countries, post-conflict countries. But you know, we are blessing, because now you are presenting your presentation. You're healthy enough, healthy because you know, but you breathe, you can see, you can speak, you can walk, and this what we are blessing about. So
Yes, of course.
so for everything, I want to say thank you that today I see you, Araceli is here presenting, and our guests are listening to us, and we have to appreciate every second. Thank you very
So,
much. for you for your great presentation and your hope. Um, and this for at the end of our nice conclusion, I want to wish some of the part of our planet good night, some of the planet good evening, good day, and maybe somewhere it's already good morning. Um, See you next month. We will greet our next speaker from Argentina, Professor Silvia Vecchi. Thank you very much, Professor, and
Thank you very much.
enjoy your day.
Gracias y quiero agradecer a nuestra amiga Araceli por su esfuerzo de apoyarnos, porque ella es un ángel también. I want to thank Araceli because she's an angel and she supports our work and she's doing very well. Congratulations for her. Felicitaciones sinceras y nuestro equipo está avanzando. Our team is advancing and doing its best for to try to do better. Thank you very much for you, my dear Christine. Always, and as I said before, hours, 6 hours before, you are an inspiration for us for to continue on this path or for the real peace.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Gracias. Gracias. And thank you. Gracias, dear Araceli. She's, of course, she's in our the angel in Latin America. So
Yes.
she's helping all the team. The all he's another defender of the human rights and the women's rights. Thank you very much, and see you all guys next month.
Con Silvia Becci, un fuerte abrazo y estamos en contacto a las dos. Domo arigatou gozaimashita kokoro kara. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu en japonés. Muchísimas gracias de corazón, que les vaya muy bien. From my heart, thank you very much. Domo arigato. Ya. Nos estamos viendo. Hasta la próxima. Gracias. Domo
Gracias.
arigato gozaimasu. Yoroshiku.